Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video, I'm just going to go over all the details about my rhinoplasty, who the surgeon was, how much it costed, how I decided, and just all those details because a lot of people have been asking me on TikTok and Instagram, so I just wanted to come on here and make a video with all the details so that it could be here for your reference. So I guess we'll just start from the beginning. I had kind of been thinking about this and getting this done for a while. Oh, also, by the way, right now I'm almost 5 weeks post-op. So on this Friday, today is Tuesday, I will be 5 weeks post-op. So this is my front. I get a little bit more swollen at the end of the days, but this is my front profile. Here's the side. So yeah, so I'm almost 5 weeks, but anyways, back to how it started. So I had kind of been thinking about this for a while, and it wasn't until December, January that I really started to take looking for a surgeon seriously, and I scheduled consultations in the US. When I first started looking into doing this, I never thought I would go abroad. Like never. Like if you had told me that I would go abroad to Turkey, I would have called you crazy. I would have been like, no way, never. And so I scheduled, consultations with a few surgeons in the US. I had them. They went well. There was nothing about the consultation that, left me uneasy. Like I was fine with it. Obviously, getting a rhinoplasty in the US is more expensive than some other countries, but really price was not my main determining factor as to where I go. I want to make sure that people realize and have their priorities straight, that really a price should not be your main determining factor. And if it is, maybe wait until you have a little bit more money saved up, because this is your face. You only have one face. You don't want to screw it up. You don't want to cheap out on it. So really just do it when you're ready. You have a lifetime with your face. If you have to wait 6 months, a year, 2 years to save up some extra money, it's worth it to go to the surgeon who you think is going to do the best result for you. Okay, so that being said, I had a consultation with a few surgeons, different price ranges from $8,000 to $20,000, and they went well. But then I was in a few Facebook groups for rhinoplasties, and the more I read about the rhinoplasties and people who had actually had their first rhinoplasty in the US, the more I saw those people getting revisions in Turkey, which really started to get me thinking like, okay, like why are all these people who had their first surgery in the US going to Turkey for revisions? Like that just didn't add up. And it was from really good top surgeons who charged, a lot of money. And I was like, it didn't make sense to me. So I started looking at the Facebook groups and started looking into Turkey, and I was like, okay, what is it about Turkey? What is it about their surgeons that make them so much better? Because in my head, I was like, oh, it's cheaper, so it's not as good, which was wrong. It's not a direct correlation with price and skill and results. So I started looking into it. And that was the next most challenging part. So after I'd kind of leaned away from getting it done in the US, and I was like, okay, like it seems like Turkey has the best surgeons. The second hardest part was actually finding a surgeon in Turkey. This part probably took the most amount of time in my preliminary process. Turkey, the way the surgeons get in contact with you or you get in contact with them is through WhatsApp, which is really nice. You're probably chatting with one of their assistants, but it's really nice. It's direct, you have all the information laid out. So I reached out to a ton of First, I looked at reviews on online websites. I searched the surgeon's name in Facebook groups. I looked at their Instagram profiles. Some things I will tell you to be careful about is when looking at the surgeon's Instagram, be careful about table pictures, as those sometimes the noses are slightly upturned, because as we know, if you've gone through this process or if you're researching this, the tip tends to drop over time. So a lot of surgeons will make it at a higher angle than what is initially desired. So I would just say, keep that in mind. Also, I would say look for a surgeon who posts like 3 months post-op, 6 months post-op, 1 year post-op. Like you want to see long-term what the surgeon's results are. Like, yeah, it's great if it looks good, a week, 2 weeks after surgery, but how's it going to look forever, long-term? So I would say make sure they have photos of, long-term results. So yeah, so for me, my top priority is I just wanted something that was natural and I wanted something that was masculine. That was it. I didn't have any specific requests. I didn't have any, like, I just really, really wanted natural and a masculine looking nose. Those were my only two requirements. So for me, it was a little bit different. I guess if you're a female, you don't want a masculine looking nose. So for me, an important thing was finding a surgeon who did a lot of males, who did a lot of men. So there was a few I was looking at, and I finally stumbled on, I kind of was between four. I don't remember exactly who. I do know my top two, or my top three were in Turkey were Dr. Dogan Pinar, Dr. I think Sekran God, and then Dr. Ozan Oz, who I ended up going with. Um, and I just looked at all their pictures. I sent pictures to my friends, the results. I was like, hey, what do you think of this? How does it look? Is it natural? Does it match the face? So I sent more than those doctors. Like I probably messaged like 10, 11 doctors, and I got their price, I got the information, I sent pictures of my face, and they, say like, oh yes, we can do this, or sometimes they'll even say like, oh no, we don't think we can operate on you for whatever reason. So after narrowing it down, I started asking when the next available dates were, and I'm in school full time. I'm a full-time student, so they happened to have a date on the Friday before my spring break started. So I was like, okay, like I can make that work. I can leave a little bit early for spring break. And if you don't know, you have to stay at least a week after surgery date, to get the cast off so they can take it off, and then you can travel back home after that. So you want to make sure, if you don't have a lot of time, that you kind of schedule it to where like the beginning is surgery, and then the longer half of your trip is recovery. So yeah, so they had an available date, and I took it. I was like, okay. They didn't require a deposit for me. They just required that I send them my flight information. So I booked a flight and I sent the information, and it was confirmed. And now we'll get to the price. How much I paid was 4,500 euros. So to convert that to US dollars, after conversion and after I had to pay, you have to pay to convert and exchange money, it came out to probably around $6,000, which is not cheap. I mean, compared to the US, it's on the cheaper side of the market, like the US rhinoplasty market. But in Turkey, that's pretty expensive. There's a lot of surgeons who will do surgeries for 2,500 euros, 3,000 euros. So a lot less. But again, price really wasn't I didn't want that to be the primary factor in my head that I was thinking of when I was deciding between a surgeon, just because it's your face. So I booked my surgery, and I scheduled my flight because you have your consultation. So this is another thing. You don't meet the doctor until, and this is for most surgeons in Turkey, until the day before or a couple days before your procedure. So I hadn't met the doctor. I hadn't met anything. I flew to Turkey without meeting the doctor, knowing him, what's he gonna say. But I really just had confidence in the reviews that I read, the pictures that I saw, and you just have to trust, that confidence and go with your gut. So what was I saying? So I had my consultation. I felt so much better after the consultation. I felt really at ease. He took a lot of before pictures. He put a camera up my nose, showed me my nose. He told me my breathing would actually improve. Even though my primary reason was for like aesthetic reasons, my breathing actually did end up improving, which is a great bonus. And then he took pictures, and then he showed me he said his spiel first, like what he thought, what he would like to do. And then at the end, he asked me, if I had any wishes or pictures, and I didn't. I left it up to him. I know he knows what he's doing. He, has an eye for, what'll match your face, what won't. So I didn't want to give him anything that I wanted that would really just conflict with that. So I just said no, I trust you to give me a natural masculine nose, and I think that's what he did. And I'm still swollen. If you guys don't know, the recovery process is very long, and it can be very emotionally draining. So this is another thing. So many people struggle with depression, suicidal thoughts after rhinoplasty, because it's really an emotional, I would say the hardest part of the whole process is definitely that the emotional and mental aspect of it, just looking at yourself in the mirror. One, because your face can change completely. You can look different, overnight, and that can be scary. Second is because your results, you may not like your nose for the first couple months, 3 months, 6 months after your rhinoplasty. So you may have to look in the mirror or choose not to look at the mirror for about up to 6 months or something until, the swelling really starts going down, the tip starts dropping, all that stuff. You want to make sure that you're mentally and emotionally prepared. Just, set your standards low. Be like, okay, when I get my cast off a week off, like, it's going to look huge. It's going to look like a potato. I'm not going to like it. That's okay. It's part of the process. You have to trust the process. That's the number one advice I would give to anybody considering this, is trust the process. It's a process. It's a long process. And even at 5 weeks post-op, I have good days and I have bad days. Sometimes I wake up, I'm like, oh, I really like it. The next day it'll be more swollen. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate this. So you really just have to trust the process. It takes time. It was a traumatic thing that happened to your body, to your nose. This is just your body's coping mechanism. It's healing. It takes time. So that would be the number one advice I would give. I'm trying to think, what else do I need to say? What's important? I said where I went. I said the surgeon. I said why I chose it, how, the price. I just talk about my experience. My experience was honestly 10 out of 10. The hospital was so nice. The hospital that I went to was like luxurious. It was nicer than any hospital I had ever been to in the United States. That was really nice. All the staff at my doctor's clinic was super nice, super helpful, super welcoming and comforting. Let's see. The hospital nurses were amazing. Everything was amazing. The aftercare was amazing. They were always there for me. If I had a question or, I was concerned about something, I could always send a message and they'd always respond. They sent me home with everything I needed for the first 7 days to take care of it. And then after I got the cast off, they gave me the tape because for me, it differs on the person, but I had to tape 24/7 for 2 weeks. And then after that, I think for about 2 months, I tape at night while I'm sleeping. And I do sleep elevated, not completely elevated, but I do have my head kind of at an angle, so where it's up. But yeah, so I would say, do your research, take your time, save up the money, don't cheap out on your face. Oh, and another reason, sorry, I just remembered that I chose Turkey is because most, if not all, surgeons in Turkey use the piezo tool, which is an ultrasonic tool that spins at a really high frequency, and it can shave down the bone without damaging the soft tissue, which is why when you see, if you ever saw pictures of people who get their rhinoplasty done in the US, they're like bruised, they're super swollen, and that'll still happen, if you get your surgery in Turkey, but to a lesser extent. So because they use this tool, it doesn't damage the soft tissues. You have usually less bruising, less swelling. I did take bromelain and arnica a few days before the surgery and about a week after the surgery. Bromelain is a pineapple-derived enzyme that is supposed to reduce swelling and inflammation. Arnica pretty much does the same thing. It's a natural herb. So I did take those, and I think those helped me tremendously because I did not bruise at all. My swelling, honestly, was not bad at all. I had my eyes were swollen a little bit, but nothing crazy. And it was all gone by the first week. My facial swelling, the nose swelling will stay for, up to a year. But that's what I did to kind of help ease that process. In regards to closed versus open rhinoplasty, I really wouldn't put that on your list of things to be concerned about or go to a surgeon because he does closed or this one does open. I would just, if your surgeon does open and you want closed, let the surgeon do, what they're comfortable with, what they practice in, what they know how to do. I wouldn't go to a surgeon just because they do closed versus open. There's really no benefit aside from, I guess, you won't have a scar on the columella right here. And I'm 5 weeks post-op and you can, from a distance barely see it. It still is a little bit red, but it's really not a significant thing to where I would have sought out a rhinoplasty surgeon that did closed rhinoplasties. So yeah, I think I covered it all. And I hope this video is really helpful. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them in the comments. I know this process is really scary. It's a really long process. It can be emotionally and mentally draining, but even if people around you may be telling you, no, you don't need it, at the end of the day, you know yourself best, you know what you'll be happy with. You know, obviously nobody needs cosmetic surgery, nobody needs a rhinoplasty, everybody's beautiful. But at the end of the day, it's a personal decision. And if you think you'll be happier or more confident, you know, with these changes or with a rhinoplasty, then I say go for it, you know, because you don't want to, you know, live your life, wake up every day with regret or like, oh, I should have. And, you know, it's your life. Yes, you know, the people around you. And I think when people around you are telling you like, no, it's good, like it's fine, you don't need this, they mean well, you know, they do mean well, I think. But as somebody who's, you know, been in that position, I think it's just, you know, at the end of the day, you know what'll make you happy, and I think you should do that. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was informative. I hope it was helpful. I hope I shared some information and helped make your process a little bit easier. If you have any questions, just comment them down below and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.